ॐ वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्. In this seventh chapter, we have said before, Bhagavan Shri Krishna lets Arjuna know, and through Arjuna lets all of us know the Mahima, the glory of God, the God principle, the Ishvara Tattva. No doubt, Sri Krishna himself is an incarnation of that God principle. However, starting from 7th chapter till the 12th chapter, there is relatively more emphasis on God's glory. After defining Para Prakriti and Apara Prakriti, Sri Krishna made a very poetic statement. Just as precious stones are strung together in a thread, all the manifest glories of this universe are held together, held in place by me, by the Godhead. That expression, Sutre Manigana Iva, is much quoted for its poetic beauty as well as great significance in spiritual philosophy. There is absolutely nothing superior to me, anywhere, anytime. Mattaha parataram na anyat kinchidasti, says Bhagavan Sri Krishna, and then says, Sarvam idam mai protam. All are strung upon me, sutre manigana iva. Precious stones, several of them, are all strung upon a thread, and the thread may not be visible. One rare person sees it. Likewise, one rare person sees God in everything that is beautiful or glorious. Yap pashyati sapashyati. As Bhagavad Gita itself says, at two places at least. He who sees, sees it. It's difficult to say who it is, for even after all qualifications are mentioned, it becomes a little unclear about who actually has those qualities. Because externally, it's very deceptive. Somebody who looks very good may be lacking in Viveka and Vairagya. Somebody who is looking very ordinary may have all those Shama, Adi, Shatka, Sampatti, and Viveka, Vairagya, and Mumukshutva. We made a beginning with the 8th verse also. In the 8th verse here of the 7th chapter, as Sri Shankaracharya connects, Kena kena dharmena vishishte tvai sarvamidam protam iti uchyate. When all glorious manifestations are held in place, supported by God, how does God do that? What nature or what qualities of God express in particular glories of this manifest universe is the question. Therefore, we read once more the 8th shloka, which I guess we read once. Rasohamapsu kaunteya prabhasmi shashi suryayoh pranava sarva vedeshu shabdakhe paurusham drishu. 5 factors, 5 locations Sri Krishna mentions here. In water, I am rasa. This word rasa is to be taken as that which makes water have the quality or characteristic of water. Rasa also means taste. So can we take the word rasa to mean taste? We say yes, taste is included in that. But then the question arises, does water have any taste at all? Water is generally looked at as having no taste of its own. However, the spiritual philosophy disagrees. The spiritual philosophy says water has the quality or the capacity to make possible any other taste become evident to us. The example I mentioned yes, last time also is if something totally dry is placed in your mouth and your mouth also is totally dry, how will you know the taste of that? Water makes possible all the tastes, sweet, sour, bitter, etc., become evident. And spiritual philosophy says water in itself has all the tastes in it. Shankaracharya, of course, says, apam yaha saraha. Whatever is essential to water in its being water. Otherwise, water is not water at all. I am that rasa. Rasa, therefore, is apam saraha. Tasmin rasabhute mai apaha protaha. I am the rasa, I am the very essence, I am that mystical quality which makes water water. Otherwise, water would not be water. I am that essence. In that essence, the water as is known by people is held in place. Rasa bhute mai. I am the rasa and apaha protaha. Jalam protam. Udakam protam. I have said this many times in grammar consideration. Apaha is a strange word which has only plural forms. There is no singular of apaha at all. The word apaha is always in plural. Like in English, there are a couple of examples. Glasses. So in Indian English, we say spectacles. They're always in plural. Shorts that men or women wear, always in plural. English language doesn't have dual at all. So either singular or plural. In Sanskrit, we have singular, dual, and plural. And mind you, the word up becomes apaha. Therefore, in the Shankara Bhāshya, apaha mai rasabhute protaha. Evam sarvatra, Bhashyakara says. In this way, apply it to other places. Like what? Very next example, the second out of 5. Prabha asmi shashi suryayoho. So, shashi is moon, surya is sun, and in sun and moon, I am the light. Prabha, so well-known word, prakasha. Bhashyakara doesn't give a synonym at all. Everybody knows the word prabha. In fact, bha itself means light. Prabha is with an upasarga added. Basically, there is no change in meaning. I am the prabha, I am the light in sun and moon. This is where philosophy and poetry join hands. It's not just poetry, but it's mysticism also. It's not just mysticism, it is poetry also. In a certain discussion at some place, one of the members in the group said, it looks like all this spirituality is nothing but play of words and it's just language only. There is nothing other than language. For a moment, other members of the group were impressed. Then there was a very mature, seasoned moderator of the group, he said, sorry, please don't say that. If language itself was all philosophy, then anybody good in language would have mastered philosophy. Whereas only 10% or less of people who are good in language are drawn to philosophy. 90% of people who are good in any language have many other things to indulge in. Entertainment industry also requires language. So-called literature, Shakespeare's plays, Kalidasa's plays have a lot of language, but there is not much of spiritual philosophy. Therefore, Adhyatma Vidya cannot be equated with Bhasha. Bhasha or Bhasha Kaushalam can be helpful, but given the choice, you must know the truth and not so much wonderful language to express it. If you have language skill, all right, that will surely help. But without even language skill, you can be truthful, you can be a man of values, you can be a lady of many virtues, you can be a great punyatma. To live a dharmic life, the good language is not a must. Whereas an understanding and faith and conviction and commitment to noble values is a must. That doesn't require language necessarily. However, all the great classics like Bhagavad Geetā employ language quite a bit. Tasmin rasabhute apaha protaha and Shashi Suryayoho Prabha Asmi. Now coming to the third one, Pranavaha Sarva Vedeshu. Pranava is Om. In Sanskrit, there is a certain verbal root, Nu, N-U, Nu. Nu, some places means salute or bow down. Naumi Janaka Sutavaram in Tulsidas' poem on Sri Rama. But some other places, Nu also means stu, to praise. Prakarshena nuyate anena, which means prakarshena stuyate anena. Stutihi kriyate anena. Anena means by this Om. By the sound Om, you can praise, you can adore the supreme truth in most surpassing manner. Prakarshena means in the most excellent way. For praising Om, there can be 1,000 ways. But the best way is praising not Om. Om is the word to sound used to praise, praising God. Therefore, there was a big poster on the wall in some ashram, and Om was written on the poster with some beautiful art, and it was written, there are 1,000 names of God, and Om is the best among them. That is the meaning of the etymology. Prakarshena nuyate anena iti pranavaha. Pra plus nu, then a suffix or a termination makes it pranavaha. Nu becomes navaha. Pra ke saath pranavaha. Pranava is the essence of all the Vedas. Sri Ramakrishna as well as Sri Ramana Maharshi had said in their talks, all the Vedas are contained in the Gayatri Mantra. The Gayatri Mantra in turn is contained in Om. Om is the greatest mystery among anything that is expressed in language. Words have talked about mysteries of spirituality in countless ways. And the one word, a monosyllable, Om, is one of the best, or it is the best. Among sounds, Om is the best. Otherwise, go beyond sound. Beyond sound, you may know Brahma, you may know God in the ultimate manner, because ultimate truth is beyond words. But if there is a sound and a word which can take you closest to God, it is Pranava. Therefore, representing the Vedas with the Gayatri mantra coming in between two, a stepping stone, there is Pranava. Tasmin Pranava Bhute Mai Sarve Vedaha Protaha. For those who have the eyes to see, in all the Veda mantras, Om becomes visible. For those who have the eyes to see gold, in all true gold ornaments, gold is visible. A jeweler picks up a ornament and maybe a bangle, maybe a necklace, maybe an earring, and one look, since he is an expert, he says, this is gold. Like that, in all the Veda mantras of Rig Veda or Yajurveda, Sama or Atharva, knowers of the Vedas see Om expressing itself. Tata Khe Akashe Shabdaha Sarabhutaha. Like it was said about water, where is taste in water? Here also people may say, where is sound in space? And modern science, with regard to transmission of sound, insists upon medium and space or kha. Kha means akasha. Akasha is vacuum. Though in the history of science, at a certain stage, they believed that there is some substance called ether in akasha. Later on, that whole theory was discarded, lock, stock, and barrel. Scientists agreed that there is a whole lot of total vacuum. Now the question arises, can sound travel through vacuum? We say sound may not travel through vacuum, and we are not talking about travel here. We are talking about where is sound resident initially. And a mystical statement, no doubt. Vedas have said sound resides in space. Then the sound that you and I know, sound that our ears hear, is a grossified form of sound. And our ears themselves are grossified. Panchikrita Panchabhutebhya, the outer equipment. The inner subtle ear is Sukshma, which travels with the conditioned Jivatma at the time of death. But the outer, made of flesh and other physical material, is made of Panchikrita Panchabhutas. All right. So the subtle sound, how do we know it? Again, I don't say yap pashyati sa pashyati, yash shranoti sa shranoti. Those who are able to hear can hear. In other words, these are not for beginners. You and I can have faith in the Vedic statement. The Veda says water has a certain rasa, which makes it water. Shakha or Akasha has a certain essence, which is sound, which makes Akasha Akasha. Otherwise, Akasha is not Akasha. Therefore, we only may say at this point that a day may come when modern science also gives an appropriate explanation how in the Adhyatma Vidya of India, water is said to have rasa and Akasha is said to have Shabda. All modern science about Shabda, about acoustics, sound is a huge part of modern physics. Chapters and chapters are about sound. Many chapters are about light. Many chapters are about magnetism. Many chapters are about gravity. Many chapters are about electricity, right? So sound is a major portion of today's advanced physics. But we say Gita is talking about a certain deeper dimension of sound, not the grossified form that human ears can hear, not of the nature of compression and expansion of medium. When sound travels from one point to another, let's say through air, the sound waves are marked by expansion and compression of air. In metal, in water, and in many other substances, sound travels, and the medium undergoes certain vibrations and conveys. Sound is transmitted. But that whole discussion does not apply here. Here, we are talking of sound as the source of that other sound which travels, which which um, physics discusses. As far as human ears are concerned, it is said in the books of physics, 20 cycles per second up to 20,000 cycles per second is the vibrations that the human ears can hear. We know some of these basics in high school physics. We learn more than 20,000 cycles per second, hertz. Some dogs can hear, they say. So there is some whistle which produces sound above 20,000, and a dog nearby gets alarmed. Whereas if human beings are around, they don't know at all. Likewise, I suppose there are some creatures who can sense vibrations below 20 cycles, 20 hertz, 20,000 hertz. By the way, most of us don't hear up to 20,000 hertz at all. Our audibility, our capacity to hear could be somewhere from a few hundreds of cycles per second to 12,000 or 14,000. So there's a whole science. You and I know, those of us who have long back studied science know a few more things. Female voice is higher frequency, male voice is lower frequency. Among instruments also there are higher frequencies, lower frequencies. There is a whole science, sound and acoustics, and one Indian by name Bose, not Subhash Chandra Bose, not Jagdish Chandra Bose, but another Bose. There are several people with that surname who have made an impact on the world. Some Bose, I guess, went abroad. I don't know his whole story, but even today, some of the best loudspeakers, best speakers, headphones, some of the best sound equipment are from the company called Bose, BOSE. I was told that it was established by some Bose coming from India, from Bengal, I guess. Today it might be a purely American company with both non-Indians and Indians at the helm of affairs. But let's not go more into corporate matters. But sound is a challenge to human mind. Light is another challenge to human mind. Einstein grappled with light. All his life he was grappling with the puzzle, the mystery called light. And his theories of relativity have much to do with light. He made the statement, nothing can travel faster than light. And he made the statement, or he invented or discovered the role of light in the equation that connects matter and energy. E equals mc squared, c is light. So don't take light lightly, shall we say. Light is a challenge to the human intellect. Sound also is a challenge to the human intellect. But it's interesting that rishis of yore, the Vedic visionaries, the seers of the Vedas also saw what others could not see in sound, in light, in space, in this universe. They had their own knowledge of the universe. Now more and more discoveries are taking place. How ancient Indian wisdom encompassed a lot of subjects which are today studied in modern universities. Lot of things were discovered apparently by the rishis, but the language they had used, the techniques they had used were different, it seems. Those universities like Nalanda, Takshashila, etc., apparently had huge departments about all these things, but you know that they were destroyed. Nalanda was set on fire, and they say the fire went on burning for 6 months or so. For the fire to finally subside, it was several months. The amount of texts, books, shastras, which had quite possibly a lot of knowledge, was all destroyed by some senseless invader, some senseless, over-ambitious man with narrow outlooks. Coming back, Ke Akashe Shabdaha Sarabhuta. The Sara, the very essence of space, is sound. Tasmin Mai Kham Protam. So I am the sound, the Sara, and in me, the Sara, the sound, Akasha is Protam. Kham Protam Shabde. Sarabhute Shabde Kham Protam. Kha is Akasha, Gagana, Vyoma. Many words we have. Fifth and last in this shloka is Paurusham Nrishu. Purushasya bhavaha Paurusham. Manliness in a man. That which makes a man deserve the word man. So this also is subject to many interpretations. Manliness is a word used at many places. I guess courage and certain decisiveness, certain ability to go ahead with some plan that is made without fear and so on, that could be meant, or Paurusham could mean, as Shankaracharya says, Yataha Pum Buddhi Nrishu. What makes a man think he is a man? Pum Buddhi. Aham Purushaha iti Buddhi. One of the Tippanikars says in some other version of the Shankara Bhāshya, the word used is Pumstvam, being a man. In liberal interpretations, it's not so much to do with the physical structure of the human being, it is mental qualities. Therefore, in today's world especially, the interpretation has to be certain virtues and values, certain dispositions. Otherwise, even some Vedanta works would run into controversy. Manusmriti will be in great controversy unless you interpret Pumstva in terms of qualities of the mind. Vedanta works, you know, Viveka Chudamani. Jantunam Narajanma Durlabam Ataha Pumstvam. To be born as a human being is a great privilege. There again, more privileged is somebody who is born as a man. And it goes further. Pumstam tato viprata tatra vaira vaidika dharma marga parata. Scholarship, there again, Atma Anatma Viveka. Some 8 or 9 levels are mentioned, but in the beginning, Jantunam Narajanma Durlabamata Pumstam Tato Viprata Tasmad Vaidika Dharma Marga Parata Vidvatvam Asmat Param Atma Anatma Vivechanam and so on. And then Mukti is available only when you and I, Jivatmas, have earned punya in hundreds and thousands of lives. That's the second shloka after a prarthana shloka in Viveka Chudamani. So Pumstvam there, Pujya Swami Sidmayananji interprets, is certain courage and decisiveness, and then the ability to go by the decision one has made, etc., etc. So, so those who deserve to be called that kind of able, resolute, courageous people, what is it in them which makes them what they are? I am that, says Sri Krishna. I bless some human beings with those qualities by which they are able to get going. To get going is not everybody's cup of tea. A lot of people just stay. The other day I read a line at Mumbai airport as I was waiting for the bags. There was some advertisement in between. I don't know whether it was an advertisement or just a saying to motivate passengers. It came beautifully. It said, those who keep walking are the ones that take the world forward. So walk, walk, walk. Those who keep walking move the world forward, it was said. It was just for a few seconds, then some other advertisement. I in fact waited because I wanted to take a snapshot of it. In between my bag came, I got distracted. Then I look up, it has again come. Before I could take the picture again, another thing came. I could not. Then I came out. I could not wait. After maybe some 20 advertisements, once in 20 advertisements, that line was coming. Those who keep walking take the world forward. So, to walk, not just walking, but it can apply to implementation. You know how they use the words. Walk your talk, right? So there is not so much to do with physical walking. Do what you have been talking about. Are you able to walk your talk, or you only talk and don't do what you say? Anyway, this language comes in philosophy, but I already said at the beginning of this lecture, nobody should be overly attached to language. That can have a price to pay. Language should be in its right place and it should not be given undue importance. Tasmin mai purushaha prota. So all courageous people, ladies or men, they are made what they are by my empowering them. How beautiful. Therefore, the 10th chapter, which also talks about glories, Vibhuti Yoga. Vibhuti Yoga, 10th chapter, and this 7th chapter, Jnana Vijnana Yoga, in that sense have some stuff in common. At the end of the 10th chapter, Sri Krishna makes a statement, Yadyad Vibhuti Mat Sattvam Srimadurjitam Eva Va Tattadeva Avagachatvam Mama Tejomsha Sambhavam. Wherever, in whatever field you see divine qualities, great qualities that make you say, wow, this is great, this is so wonderful. Know that to be coming from me in that way. So, coming back to the 7th chapter, having given 5 areas where we may recognize God as the very essence of glories, now he gives in 9th shloka, Punyo Gandha Prativyancha Tejaschasmi Vibhavasau Jivanam Sarva Bhuteshu Tapaschasmi Tapasvishu. One more mystery. You may say, Prathivyam Punyo Gandha. I am the divine, meritorious, virtuous smell, fragrance in the earth. Especially those of us who live in some cities like Bombay or Bangalore, Hyderabad or Chennai, Delhi or Jaipur, all the big cities of India necessarily have some slums. And you go around, you have to hold your nose. Sometimes you have a fairly posh development, but you step out of that development in half a kilometer, oh, bad smell. So you may wonder, Prathivyam Punyogandha, in earth, he says there is there is meritorious fragrance. If he had said, I am the fragrance in flowers, you and I would say, yeah, fragrance, all flowers pretty much. I don't know, there may be one or two flowers with a bad smell, but generally we know flowers to have a range of good smells. So if he had said punyo gandaha pushpeshu, then we would have said, okay, let's go ahead. But it says punyo gandaha prativyam, and Sri Shankaracharya comes to our rescue. First he says punyaha surabhihi, surabhihi gandaha. Surabhi also means the enchanting smell that makes you happy, that pleases you. Punyaha surabhi. So punya is in that sense. It pleases you, it elevates you. You say, this is so nice, and so on. Tasminmayi gandhabhute prathivi prota. Earth is held in place by the smell. Without that very good smell, there is no earth. Now Shankaracharya takes up the possible doubt. Some places on the earth, in cities or villages, or even in forests or in some distant place, there may be bad smell. And what is more, some place there may be no smell at all. So why is Gita saying there is good smell in the earth? Shankara says, Punyatvam Gandhasya Swabhavataha eva Prathivyam Darshitam Abadishu Rasadehe Punyatva Upalakshanartham. Just as in water we said there was rasa, and that also is punya rasa. Here in the earth there is punya gandha, very desirable, elevating, pure, meritorious smell. Swabhavataha, we say, yes, Shankaracharya ji, we agree to that extent, but how come we smell bad? We smell things foul in the earth on many occasions. Lot of places it is terrible. You can't stand there for more time. Shankara explains, you know what? See, he already used the word Swabhavataha. The earth by itself has very nice fragrance. But apunyatvam, if you come across foul smell anywhere, that is because of avidya, adharma, adi apeksham sansarinam. The living beings over centuries, over many lives, accumulated so much of adharma, all of them made possible by avidya, their spiritual ignorance, their unrighteous ways, the lies they speak, the injury they cause to others, etc., tadapeksham. Resulting from that or related to that, bhuta vishesha sansarga nimittam apunyatvam bhavati. All that undesirable smell, bhavati, apunyatvam, undesirableness. How does it happen? Bhuta Vishesha Samsarga Nimittam. So there are Bhuta Visheshas. Bhuta means living being. Bhuta Visheshas are particular living beings. There are such sinful living beings upon the earth, and Sansarga, earth comes in association with them. Therefore, the earth, though by itself is fragrant, smells foul at places because of those people hanging around there, walking around there, or they have walked around there. Therefore, those who believe in it talk about vibrations. They say some places there are such spiritual vibrations. Some other places it is terrible. Some places there are such spiritual vibrations that two creatures which are otherwise enemies, or one is afraid of the other generally, become friendly. So when Adi Shankaracharya was walking around India, he comes to a village in Karnataka, today's Karnataka, where a frog is about to deliver a young one, and normally snakes are very happy to see a frog which is their food. A snake would swallow the frog. Frog is often the food for snake. But when a female frog is in labor pains and there is hot sun also, suffering, a snake comes and provides shade to the frog. Adi Shankaracharya just chances upon that place and sees, then in his Divya Drishti, he realizes that this particular space, this particular part of the land is holy. Therefore, it has made the snake, which normally would eat up the frog, do the opposite, provide shade and help the frog have a relatively less painful delivery. And that is where he sets up one of his four mutts. Today it is called Sringeri Mata. That is the Kshetra Mahima, Kshetra Purana of Sringeri. He says, I will set up a spiritual center here. So vibrations, smell, taste, all these are to be seen by those who have the eyes to see, ears to hear. So they know. Divya Drishti. Divya Drishti. In the last century, there was a lady, Swamini of Chinmaya Mission, Swamini Sharada Priyanand. She took many acres of some barren land in Andhra Pradesh. She herself was much into tapaswini she was. She tried to build an ashram there. And she built some huts, cottages, very simple ones. Some people were afraid to stay in those cottages because snakes would go inside those cottages. She kept them very simple, not modern buildings. That's another side of the story. But at some point, she wanted to dig a well. I think she tried 2 or 3 places, there was no water. And then one occasion, she invited Swami Chinmayananji. He went to that place, there was a little function held. Then she, with folded hands, said, Swamiji, we have not been successful in finding a place where we get water at a reasonable depth. He heard that and said, okay, okay. Then he was walking around looking at the whole piece of land. At a certain place, he stopped and said, get me a glass of water. They brought a glass of water. That part of Andhra and much of Andhra is hot anyhow, very hot place. They thought he is just thirsty. I guess he drank a little. He did drink a little, but there was another purpose in his mind. After drinking a little water, rest of it in a dramatic way, he lifted the glass and poured it straight down on the earth. Everybody was surprised. Why is he throwing the water like this on the ground? Then he looked at Sharada Priyananda and said, dig here. He used to do all such, dramatic gestures. And people would be puzzled. Is there some hidden meaning? Is there some special blessing? You never know. Sometimes maybe. Sometimes it was his style of encouraging people. Encouraging. People would feel happy at some of his gestures. So to what extent it was simple logic and to what extent or in what sense it was beyond ordinary human perception was difficult to decide. All right. Then they dug there, and Sharda Priyananda reported to us later. Unbelievably less depth. They got wonderful water. So, this Gandha in the earth, according to Adi Shankaracharya, Gandha is to be everywhere. But because of the Papa Karma, Therefore, in the last mantra of Ishavasya Upanishad, a devotee, probably with folded hands, prays to God. We have sinful tendencies in us. Kindly separate them. Take them away. Yuyodi asmad juhurana menam. Bhuishtam nama uktim vidhema. That's how the Ishavasya Upanishad ends. Juhuranam means crooked ways. Kutila niti, vakra niti, niti or riti. Yodi means separate. That's a wonderful prayer. Ishavasya became so popular because of some of these mantras. Hiranmayena patrena satyasya apihitam muktam is another much quoted mantra. But the last mantra, not as much quoted as Hiranmayena patrena, is a great prayer. You and I can use it in our daily prayers. Agnena yasupataraye asman vishwani deva vayunani vidvan yuyodyasmad juhuranamenam bhuyishtam te nama uktim videma. Upanishadic lines sometimes can be part of daily prayers and sometimes just a line like the last line to add one more remark. Bhuyishtam te nama uktim videma. You are writing a letter, let us say. Nowadays I should say an email. Hardly anyone writes letters. You are writing an email to somebody with a lot of respect and reverence and gratitude and so on. At the end, if you like, write the Upanishad line. Bhuyishtam te nama uktim vidhema. We offer you respectful salutations. So coming back, Shankaracharya writes, it is apunyatvam avidya adharma adi apeksham samsarinam bhuta vishesha sansarga nimittam bhavati. Then going to the next one, tejas chasmi vibhavasau. The third in this shloka, tejaha means deeptihi, light, brightness, radiance, effulgence. Call it as you may. Vibhavasau. So vibhavasu, like bhanu shabda. Bhanuhu bhanu bhanavaha. Vibhavasuhu, vibhavasu, vibhavasavaha. So vibhavasu is fire. Fire would not have any light unless God had entered into it. God is the essence of fire. And fire is known for light. Fire is known for heat. Vibhavasau agnau. And the fourth one is Jivanam sarva bhuteshu tapaschasmi tapasvishu. I am Jivana. In all living beings, I am the very life principle. Yena jivanti sarvani bhutani. Tad jivanam. No matter how wonderful your body looks, it may appear strong, but there is a mystery about the body, about human life. What is consciousness? What is the spark of life? Is not resolved even now. There is apparently, even in universities, something called the hard problem of consciousness, where even scientists don't know how inert things come together and then there is consciousness. What is the transition? Scientists believe that it is all inert stuff coming together and consciousness for them is an epiphenomenon. All right, if you call it an epiphenomenon, how does it happen? How do carbon or hydrogen or some other things come together and then there is life? In Vedanta, we say life anyhow is. It only expresses through this. It doesn't create. Nothing can create life. God is. And in a certain physical form, God expresses. Jivanam sarva bhuteshu. Yena jivanti sarvani bhutani tad jivanam. Lastly, tapaschasmi tapasvishu. Tasmin tapasimai tapasvinaha prota. If you ever admire somebody who is living a very orderly life, no contradictions, no confusion, no complexes, no negativities. Somebody, some lady, some man is so transparent, does what needs to be done, lets go of what cannot be done, doesn't talk ill of others, does what is to be done, lives her life or his life in such an orderly manner, more than some kind of not eating, not talking, standing upside down, etc. Orderly life is tapas. Especially J. Krishnamurti would say, a life of order. Order for him meant absence of contradictions or absence of pretentiousness, absence of blindly believing something and struggling about it, etc. Then there is no disorder. All right. What makes some people live such an orderly life where otherwise on this earth 99.99999% people, even very learned, even eminent people, rich and famous, trophy holders, award winners, go close to them, their life is disorderly. Their priorities are not right. They are penny wise, pound foolish sometimes. They have such weaknesses or such negative side to them, you would shudder in shock and you will keep away from them. Why is it so? Or why talk about others? If we find we are not living in an orderly manner, what are we to do? Invoke God. God enters us, contradictions go away. Tapasvishu ahameva tapaha. If I am not in them, I am not expressing through them, then however much they may try, their tapas becomes futile. Tapas becomes futile. Waste. They won't yield results. Therefore, Punyo Gandha Prativyancha Tejaschasmi Vibhavasau Jivanam Sarvabhuteshu Tapaschasmi Tapasvishu. So, 4, 5 plus 4, I guess 9. They are also Vibhutis, though he doesn't call them as Vibhuti. He says, I am the essence. In 10th chapter, he calls them all Vibhutis. I am the Vibhuti, or I am the principle behind Vibhutis. He says the word Vibhuti comes in there. 2 more verses also covers a few more areas, locations, and then he sums it up. Whatever is sattvic, rajasic, tamasic, all of them rise in me and subside in me. That can be taken as a summary shloka. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.